Um, do I feel the redesigns are necessary? Do I feel the redesigns are necessary? Yes, I do. Now, well, yeah, I kind of do think they're necessary, especially in this day and age. I just did a two-part state of WWE video from a fan's point of view, from my own personal point of view as a fan. And I said in there that basically the reason the WWE's kind of in the transitional period that it's in, kind of in transitional bubble that it is due to the fact that they've got the FCC, they got these parental groups, all these other things coming from all sides, basically forcing them into this transitional bubble and period to where they want to go in one direction because they know what the fans, because they know the fans want a certain, you know, direction, for the company to go in. But then again, they can't, as much as they try to reach for that, they always get reeled back in and say, no, you got to remember you're in this situation right now, you got this and that. And I know it probably doesn't, and I know it's a bit of a strange comparison or relation to the, in comparison to what's going on in the comics, but if when you kind of relate it to that in some ways, that's basically what the redesigns are. You know, people can say that, oh well, the redesigns are just Segafying the characters to bring them up to Sonic standards, and it's true. Ian Flynn even said it himself in the interview. It was to bring them to Sonic standards, and it's true, it is. Because that's the time frame we're in. That's the era we're in. Basically, if you're going to keep certain characters around, you got to update them. I looked at Biker Mice. In fact, I don't know if I have the episode in front of me or not. I don't. But I remember when it was announced Biker Mice was being revived in the mid 2000s, 2006 mostly, and I remember. First seeing it and seeing Charlie, if you will, the Charlie character, and how different she looked. It's like, it's still, but, when you watched her, you knew it was still Charlie. The personality and everything was just about the same. She was just different, just a new outfit, a new look. And this show was basically this revival was being, broadcast and aired 10 years after the original ended, so it kind of made sense that 10 years later, instead of keeping the same look for her, you have to change it up a bit. And they did the same with some of the other characters as well. They kept them the same personality wise, but design wise they had to change them up to modernize them, but to be suitable for a revival that was 10 years in the making. So yeah, I can understand why they had to do it. I may not like the fact that the designs, these are that we're getting redesigns, but I'm willing to accept it. I'm willing to say, okay, maybe it's just, maybe because the way I look at it, I think maybe it's not going to be for long. Maybe it's just going to be for maybe a few years, and we might go to a newer design similar to the past and all that. And who knows? I think it's just right now because of the era we're in, and as much as people want to say, well, it's because of the FCC and these parental groups that characters like Sally and Bunny and maybe others, female characters, have to be dressed up, while the male characters have to be near naked, because that's the Sonic standards. And that might be true in some ways. That might be the case in some ways. But even if so, like I say, it's the era and the time we're in. It's like, again, using wrestling as an example, I was watching a Legends of Wrestling program that I saw on YouTube, Ruben Daily Motion, several other sites, and Jim Ross basically said about, because they were talking about hardcore wrestling, Jim Ross said, because of the time and era we're in right now, you don't see that much blood and guts and hardcore and barbed wire and thumbtacks and all that like you used to in the 2000s. In the early to mid to late 2000s, because of that change in atmosphere and environment. So you can have fans partially blame FCC and all that for having Sega and Archie do this to the certain characters, like the female characters. But even so, there's not really much you can do, and you just gotta live with it. You just gotta deal with it. And maybe it's just for a while until something else comes up down the line.